Tell me what you see when you look at me. Do you see another brother lost in these streets looking for his soul?
Trying to find my soul.
Or do you see another brother searching for lost souls in these streets? A street soldier.
Street soldier.
Here to help you get that chip off your shoulder, warm your colder days and sober your drunken ways, and find a way to help you get over these hurdles placed in our path. And this is not meant to amuse you. This is for all those who have questions but are afraid to ask.
I won't be afraid. I won't be afraid. No. When times get hard, you lose your way. Open your mind and hear what I say.
This is a message for the hard and the soft. To those who tune in weekly and to those who keep an eye out for 8 p.m. on Sundays and turn their radios off. The truth hurts. The cloth has been pulled. We're walking around half dead. Use this show as your IV. Alive and Free is a new movement. We've achieved self-destruction. A street soldier promotes self-improvement.
Streets couldn't be no colder, so I gotta be a soldier. It shouldn't be this hard for me. Even when it seems so hopeless, I gotta keep my focus. I'm glad to be alive and free, yeah. Streets couldn't be no colder, so I gotta be a soldier. It shouldn't be this hard for me. Even when it seems so hopeless, I gotta keep my focus. I'm glad to be alive and free, yeah.
Live and Free Radio, Street Soldiers. Gotta ask, anybody watch Nipsey Hussle's funeral services?
Farrakhan.
Was he there too?
Yeah.
He gave the opening speech.
Oh, okay. I didn't watch.
And then
right.
NOI,
Right.
I feel like every
Right.
time some stuff happens with us as black people,
Right.
the NOI gonna come and try to protect us or you know, do their thing. So yeah, Farrakhan gave a powerful speech.
Yeah.
He referenced Nipsey Russell as well.
Oh, the comedian.
Yeah, he brought it connect the generations and everything like that.
I know Snoop
Little son.
said some words, right?
Yeah, Snoop said some words. A lot of people.
Yeah.
It was deep.
You watched the whole thing?
His wife.
No, I watched bits and pieces.
Yeah, me too. I watched bits and pieces. Yeah.
But I understand there was on the procession back. I know the route. There was some shooting on the.
Nah, I think that was it was 5 hours after the whole thing ended.
Afterwards,
Yeah,
okay.
but the news tried to paint it in a certain way.
Well, they said they didn't say that it was at the service.
Okay.
This was after the. They definitely said it was after, and it said it was on a procession way down. And if it happened, it happened. I mean, which is sad that it happened at all.
Yeah.
Because obviously this guy wasn't about that.
He sold out the entire Staples Center in 20 minutes.
That's amazing.
The Lakers can't do that this season.
Good comparison.
His mom is a wonderful woman.
Yeah.
His mom, the words that she spoke about, just not mourning for him and to not be sad and
celebrate.
Yeah, celebrate and be happy. He complete his mission and everything.
Yeah. And she was talking about being a vegan and saving the planet Earth and, being more spiritually awakened. It was his mom.
I saw some of her stuff online. I got to see it. Also got to saw a piece he did about gang violence, which was, I'm going to actually use that with the kids and, and probably on a future show. I have a chance, and it's only a chance, to have a relative of his come on the show next Sunday. Whoa. It turns out, that's why I say the world is so small, right? It turns out that, my sister knows who knows, right? Anyway, so they made the connection, and
which relative?
It's a cousin of his, right? And
I was
his brother?
Black Sam.
No, it's a cousin of his, and she wants to check with the family first. But if we it is.
Do you still have roots in South Central? Do you still have a lot of family out there and stuff?
No, they all moved. My main one is my brother. My brother's still there, and he's very active. So.
So if I move to LA, you could connect me with your brother?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. And my brother ain't no joke. I mean, he's pretty community and politically connected. I don't know if he runs with Pookie. He don't run with Pookie, but but Pookie might know.
I don't either.
Who he is. But I think it would be. This man meant so much to so many people, and I just think if we can keep his message going, and keep it going even here on this show. As much as we can, we'll do that. So I'll see. I'll know later on this week if we can. And I think it would be closure just for the work that we've been doing around it on the show around Nipsey. And I've just learned so much more about this guy.
Yeah.
Tonight's topic actually grew out of a caller that we had last week when we were doing the tribute to Nipsey on the show. And we're just asking people their feelings, their thoughts. And one of the callers, I don't know if you remember this one, LD, he said that we suffer from a lot of trauma, a lot of emotional trauma.
I remember that call.
You remember that call? Yeah. And that's one of the things he just wanted to bring to light. And that the shooting of this wonderful man just added more to the trauma that we as a community and we as a people suffer. And that led me to, then when I got this article that I got, I did it with the kids on Tuesday night. It was like, wow, let's talk about this. And I'm going to read a little bit of this because it's going to set the stage for the discussion that we're going to have tonight around mental health. And remember, and again, this was triggered by the call from last week. And this is much like Nipsey was obviously, I don't use the word famous person, a celebrity. This is a person who's a celebrity, and this is Taraji P. Henson. And this is an article from Variety in April, this month, 2019. And Taraji P. Henson reveals she suffers from depression. Obviously, she's a very celebrated person. The Oscar-nominated star of Empire reveals that she is dealing with mental health issues. And she says it's a personal issue. It's not just work. I suffer from depression. Okay. I hope to help get rid of the taboo associated with mental health issues. My anxiety is cooking up even more every day, and I've never really dealt with anxiety like that. It's something new. Now, Nipsey has forced us to focus on, entrepreneurship and gang and all of that kind of thing. And she's hoping that the focus on her issues is going to help with dealing with the issue of mental health. And let me just read this more. And there's a lot here, so I'm going to break it up in pieces. You started a foundation that works to eradicate the stigma with mental health issues. And you are revealing that you actually suffer from anxiety and depression. How do you deal with that? Now, we got this thing about, famous people or people celebrities they got perfect lives, which theoretically that's not true, but, we hold them up on these pedestals a lot of time. So she says, I talk to someone. I have a therapist that I speak to. That's the only way I can get through it. You can talk to your friends, but you need a professional who can give you exercises so that when you're on the ledge, you have things to say to yourself that will get you off the ledge and past your weakest moments. It's a professional, someone who studies the human mind and someone who has no stakes involved, obviously an objective person. Their job is to make sure you're mentally sound, whatever that is, and telling you the truth that might hurt. And how often do we turn to these people? And when I say this next line, you understand, 'cause a lot of times this is the people we ask about our issues, right? Sometimes your friends don't want to hurt your feelings. If I'm going to change for the better, I need honesty. And sometimes your friends and family don't have it in them to be brutally honest. Or they're honest, too brutally honest, right? Yeah, I almost said a bad word on the radio, What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Do you see a therapist regularly? I talk to someone regularly. It has to be regularly, and that's what I learned. It gets frustrating because you're wanting for them to fix you, but it's not that easy. I had to go through several therapists that I felt comfortable talking to, or that I felt was moving me forward, and that I was making progress with, and that takes time. I remember the first time I went to a therapist, I was angry because I was like, she didn't tell me nothing. She didn't tell me anything. Mm-hmm. You're not going to figure it out all in one setting. And then she has this little talk about finding the right therapist, which in itself is can be tough because you got to go through. It's like mining for gold. I kneel in a haystack to find somebody who is good for you. This next one is obviously, because this came up, this keeps coming up when we talk about these issues around depression and so on and so forth. We live in a 24/7 world today. How has social media impacted your mental health? I turn off everything. This picking up her phone, holding her phone, has become a problem. You get on here to check messages, and the next thing you know, you're on social media. Social media is good and it's bad. It's a doozy. Even if life is good for you, you can still get on there and become depressed. I underline depressed because people are filtering pictures and living these false lives. Now, we've all said that, but this is Taraji P. Henson saying this, right? And it makes you second guess yourself. The next word really got me because not intentionally, it just does that. I said, whoa, not intentionally. That's what this does. It makes you compare yourself. If you just stay in your lane and mind your business, that's why I put it away. It was affecting my mood. I wake up in a good mood and I see something on there. I can't control that. Just don't look at it because that thing can depress you. It can knock you off your game. Mm-hmm. That's a pretty powerful statement. You still interact with your fans on social media for work purposes, though. Is that right? I have it on my iPad. I need it for business. But that whole thing of this is my life, this is what I did today, that got old for me. There's no mystique anymore. Everybody's business is out there. The older I get, the weirder I feel about that. I don't want you knowing everything. It was fun at first, but because people are so weird and this is a crazy world we live in, I'm afraid for the people that I know that have nothing to do with this industry. My lifestyle can possibly bring danger to them. Someone might get a fetish with one of my cousins just because of me, and then they'll stalk them. It's not as free and as fun as you think it is. When you really think about it. Now, I read this with the Tuesday night. So anytime I get this, I'm talking to them, when we're having our meeting, I'm talking to the kids. You bring a good point. Social media brings people into your lives, and that can be dangerous. Have you ever been in a scary situation? Oh, yeah, I've been stalked before. These weird gifts kept showing up on Empire, to the set of Empire. So we started tracking them. Then we were on a book tour, and the person was like, I'm the one who sent you the gifts. Oh, God. In another city on a book tour. So after that, I hired security. I go nowhere by myself. I've got to protect myself. Now, you know how people think, celebrities wonder why they get a gun? Because they think they need protection, which is obviously then a protection because then they get jumpy and they, but the same reason. But I've got to protect myself because things can happen and someone says it happened and it really didn't. That's the other thing about it. You can post something on there that really didn't happen, but you're by yourself and it's your word against his. I don't go anywhere by myself. This is Taraji. I mean, she is a major star. Is she the biggest black star right now? I mean, really, is she as big as any black star there is?
She's like one of.
Like, when you mean actresses?
Yeah. I'm talking about actress.
I say one of. That's a lot of.
She's one of the top ones, for
yeah,
sure.
She's got to be. I mean, she's made, 5 movies? I mean, every time I turn around, she's in a movie, right? I mean, and she's made some really good films. I mean, she's a great comedian. Right? Yeah. I mean, what's the one movie? I like What Men Want. I loved it. I thought she was great in that. But Hidden Figures? Yeah. I mean, she was incredible.
Hustle and Flow.
I mean, that's Baby an older Boy. One, right? All right. I mean, she goes back to Baby Boy. I mean, she has made a lot. She's had some good roles. How has fame and constantly being recognized affected you? I don't like it. I'm a people person, and that's naturally how I am. I like to people watch. I like to take myself to lunch. I like to shop by myself. I'm an only child, and I enjoy spending time with myself. I'm okay with that. I miss waking up early Saturday morning and going to Target.
And she's always at comedy shows, too. That's what I love about her. She's always, like, in the front row of, like, big comedy shows.
Well, if you see 3 big dudes with her, then you know one behind, okay? I can't do that anymore. I can't go to Target anymore. I tried it in Chicago before Cookie became Cookie. I was in Bed Bath & Beyond, and this guy followed me around the store the entire time. So that ended that. I get up to walk my dog, and I realize I can't do that. So even just walking my dog, I can't do it. it is depressing. Has your lack of privacy led to your depression and anxiety? There's so much in here. I'm just giving you, I'm just, because I want to set the stage for this. It wears on me. It does. I have to be conscious about everything, every move I make, everything that comes out of my mouth. I have to go over it. That's not living. That's not being. Living is being in the moment and saying whatever you want. And that's what it is. But I can't do that. And once upon a time I could. It's depressing. I feel myself changing. Now that just stopped me. I feel myself not being me. And I don't want to. It makes me a little hard in a way. It's making me a little agoraphobic. Is that the word?
Agoraphobic.
Agoraphobic. Thank you. And I've never been, but I have anxiety sometimes when I want to go outside. And I can't. Somebody's got to go with me. And then she talks about, would she give it up? Would she give it up? And she says, maybe. I don't know what else I could do. I would probably have been in makeup or the hair union, but I can't go back and I can't change it. These are the cards God dealt me.
When I heard the story, I agreed with it. Like, I wasn't surprised because people are people. Like, people have needs, and mental health is very important. People don't give mental health the same attention as physical health because it's just like, okay, everybody has a brain, but everybody thinks that the way that you display yourself to them is who you really are. And people have a tendency to put on a mask because they don't want to talk about their feelings. And it's just like people in that platform and that sort of caliber, like they're under a lot of pressure. They're under a lot of attention. So they have to be very careful about what they do. So they can't really live. They have to be mindful of everything. Where they go, who they're with, what are they doing? How does that make them look?
Is the fact that she's a celebrity, was it relatable? I guess that's the thing that I really wanted to...
Overall, yeah, it was very relatable.
Okay. Even though, you know, I don't have the... I was relatable to me. So I just wanted... What do you want to say, Shane? What do you think? When you heard the story, what did you think?
Well, it's very relatable. I feel like mental health is such a heavy topic that people don't take it really seriously. And, you know, mental health is real. Everyone's a human being. Everyone has feelings, and it's okay to admit that you have feelings, and it's okay to talk about it. And having a therapist does not make you a crazy person. It's powerful to have a therapist, someone you can talk to and be able to open up to. Myself, I've had a therapist, because I've gone through a whole lot of trauma in my life, but that doesn't affect me. That doesn't stop me from achieving my goals in life because I know what I can be. And, social media has become a platform where if you have mental health, it's not taken seriously. People joke about it all the time, like how people joke about shootings, how people joke about mental health. And, it's a serious topic that needs to be talked about more, and especially in school,
And you've got your own mental health story
Yes.
you may share with us a little bit of that.
Yes.
Aaron, what's your reaction when you heard it?
My reaction is it's relatable at the point where she plugged off, or as they say, I'm disconnecting from my social media
That
accounts.
was amazing.
For me, I jumped into having like a smartphone really late. I probably didn't get one till after senior year. And so for me to like really be on social media, it was never really that big of a deal.
Alive and Free Radio, we are discussing mental health. We are discussing mental health and the importance. That's the word I want to keep the focus on, the importance of mental health. And we're doing it through the lens of somebody, all of you know. In fact, I'm going to tell you how close this is. One of our college graduates, one of our, illustrious alumni, is a very good friend of Taraji. I mean, really, like, I'm trying to get her to come on the show. I mean, she runs with Taraji. That's...
Like, goes jogging?
No, I mean, like, no, that can't,
Okay.
That's the pure sense of running. This is like,
All right.
like when Taraji's on the set, she's on the set. When she goes to the gala, she's on the set. Yeah, she's part of the, I guess you would say she's part of the posse, except she would never use that word. She says she's a good friend.
Yeah.
And I've actually talked to her prior to this article of getting Taraji to come on, and that may still happen. And obviously, Lacey Tess is probably going to be harder, just given that she's suspicious of everybody now, right? But this is an article from Variety, April 2nd, 2019, where she reveals that she is suffering from depression and still, it was actually about, second part is about pay inequality for women. But she reveals she was suffering from depression and was trying to advocate for eradicating the stigma around mental health. And a lot of this was really good stuff. She said, and if those of you didn't hear the first part, I'm not going to read it again, the first part of the show, how much social media in particular impacted her mental health. So on the line, who's been listening very patiently, is Dr. Michael Rubino. And Doc, you know, this is our second show we've done on mental health. Early I believe in January, we did a show where we talked about, where's my papers? Look, where are my papers? Here we go. We talked about issues and concerns that young people face, and social media came up then. Just what do you think? And thanks for being patient listening to this whole thing about what Taraji is talking about mental health and everything that you heard.
Well, I thought her article was right on because actually I posted it onto my Facebook page for my practice. Because a lot of the stuff she brought up is things we need to consider. You know, and the thing about with the social media, you don't have to be a movie star. Teenagers, they're talking about each other all the time. They're posting things on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram about each other, making comments, positive and negative. You know, so it's affecting everybody.
Yeah.
And it's therapy, you know, is looked at as, you know, there's something wrong with you. You know, especially with boys. Yeah. You know, when the teenage boys come in, they think they're weak. Yeah. They fail because they're having to ask for help. And we're dealing with it more because these kids are under a hell of a lot more stress than we were. I mean, see, when we were in school, we had fire groups. These kids now have to deal with shooter drills, where they have to go through they get a drill that there's an active shooter on the campus. Yeah, they got to close all the drapes. They got to hide it in a closet, and they don't know if it's real or not. And there was an article that was posted just a few weeks ago of a kid wrote on her arm to her parents, "I love you in case I don't survive." And it was a drill.
Well, it was a drill?
Yeah. But she didn't know because they don't say this is a drill.
Oh, yeah.
And now, when you go on all elementary school campuses, middle school campuses, the classroom doors have to be locked. Wow. So they're walking around all the time wondering, is someone going to shoot them, stab them? Yeah, and we're talking about, you know, kids that are in kindergarten, second graders. And that's a lot for these kids to be growing up with. And then you add the stigma about mental health.
Double whammy.
You know, and no one's, you know, they're all afraid to ask for help. And embarrassed. Until somebody blows up.
Until somebody blows up, and then they say somebody should have helped them or they should have asked for help. But it's a stigma. And I keep comparing it, you know, to obviously the other side of it is physical health, right? You know, it's okay to get help. You hurt your ankle, you hurt your leg. You know what? It's actually okay to be preventive when it comes to physical health. That's why you exercise, right? That's why you do those things. So from what you eat, from what you take in your body, it's all about your, you know, normally, a lot of times it's tied to your wanting to prevent injury. to your physical health.
Physical and mental health are really tied together. Depression is an imbalance of the brain chemistry. If you break your leg and you're in a lot of pain and you can't do anything, that's going to cause depression.
And let me just say that one of the things I am worried about, and I don't know if my worries are, I hope they're unfounded, and maybe it's just because, I've been doing this a long time, obviously, so is Lady Still. I think just because of all the things that you cited, let me say, we did remember the topic, you guys, remember the topic we did about Lady Still, we did the show, even here, unhappiness is 2 years ago, people are happier than they are now. And then we talked to you guys about what makes people unhappy, and you said I could be shot by the police at any time. And these are the actual answers that came up with young people: fear of living in fear of ICE, being labeled an alien, shootings and mass shootings, school shootings and mass shootings, the violent deaths of family and friends, the current climate of hate. Especially toward people of color, the denial, and this is crazy. One of the kids said denial of the obvious global warming and climate change because that affects the future of the earth. And this is a young person saying this, right? The price of living, housing prices, increase in drug use and drug overdoses, increase in suicide, generational trauma, family secrets and not talking about them, and of course the addiction of social media. So you're right. I'm just looking back at me. I don't have to deal with none of that stuff. My circle was the folks at school. If they talked about me, that was it, and I could find them. There wasn't the thousands of people in my life. And I'm worried. I tell you what I'm worried about. I'm worried about resiliency. That's what I'm worried about. I'm worried, or the lack of. That's what I'm worried. What's the old saying? When the going gets tough, the tough gets going. And so when I see somebody as brilliant and as wonderful as this woman, right, whose resiliency to me is among one of the things that's being broken down. She's changing. And a lot of it has to do with this thing called social media. I'm worried about them, and they know we are. I am. They gonna get to college and something go wrong. Well, like my grandma ain't quitting. I don't care what you do. I don't mind. She got 9. My mama had 9 kids. My mama said, look, she worked 3 jobs. Even my daddy, who's crazy, he ain't quitting.
What if there was social media?
I am worried about. They're right. They didn't have to deal with that. Yeah. Right. They stood up to the Klan. They stood up to all these forces. Right. So that's what I'm worried about. Is breaking and this population that we work with. They the last folks that need their resiliency. They gonna need it all.
Well, there's not as much family support because people live all over, and they keep in contact through social media, which is not the same thing. I'm Italian, and before, if you were, with Italian families, you were saying, "Oh, I have to go to a therapist." It's like, what the hell are you doing? You talk to someone in the family. And, we take care of each other. But, now with everybody being so spread out, that's not always an option. And also, it's not always the best thing to talk to your family either.
Yeah, or your friends.
Right.
Yeah. I guess the real challenge is to remove that stigma. And we got somebody out here who, I'm going to let her just chime in a little bit, who has therapy was a big part of her life for a very good reason, and she's beyond knocking it. She's saying, "Hey, it's a great. It's. Would you say it saved your life, honey?" Why don't you go to the mic, and if you don't mind, just talk a little bit about the trauma that you had to experience, you did experience, and the role that therapy played in yours.
Well, back in October of 2016. My old high school, June Jordan, had a school shooting, and it was because of beef between gang members. And, I happened to be walking outside of school waiting for my dad to pick me up, and I happened to be in the crossfire. Ended up getting hit twice, and, my dad was there, and I remember the ambulance coming, going to the hospital, asking my dad, is this the last time I'm going to see him? And, I was scared for my life. And, it's hard, I was pulled out of school for many, many months, having no social media because I didn't want people constantly asking me, how are you doing? I want to come see you. I just wanted to be by myself, and I was being closed in. I didn't want to talk about anything. I didn't want to talk about my feelings, and it's very hard because, and that played a big part on my mental health because I've already dealt with gun violence in my family. Like, I lost my uncle in 2005 and due to gun violence, and, it's hard.
Yeah, it is hard. And then at times people are asking you questions that you're not ready to talk about, or they're asking you in ways that are, you can't believe it came out of their mouth. And yeah, that's where the therapy comes in. Because
let me ask you, did you eventually go to therapy, and how did that help?
I did therapy for a year. I went every week for an hour. And, I'm not the type of person that likes to talk about my feelings because I don't want people to feel worried about me. I'm worried about other people. I want to make sure people are okay. I never really took care of myself when it comes to me being mentally stable. I always want to make sure that everyone's happy without making sure that I'm happy. And, it really helped me because I'm a really closed-off person. I don't like talking about my feelings. I don't really like talking. And, it takes a lot to get out of me. I don't like sharing my personal life, It helped. But mental health is something that just needs to be taken seriously. It's nothing to joke about.
When you're ready to talk about it, you can't force somebody
Let me just say,
to talk about something.
Yeah.
And, and the other thing is, you were concerned about how everybody else was doing. You don't want to make it harder on other people. And that's something I see with a lot of the teens who have had multiple traumas. Is, they don't want to make it harder on anybody else. And I have to let them know, don't worry about me. We're in here right now for you. But that's a hard concept to get their heads around when you're pretty used to trying to take care of everybody.
We've known her a while. We've seen her come a long way, and she's still getting through it. I could think, she's still good. I mean, just her courage to come on. She's talked about a little bit at Alive and Free, and her courage to talk about it tonight. And
that's huge.
Yeah, and it's really to help others too.
A lot of people assume is because somebody's in high school or middle school, they can't have that rough of a life.
Yeah. These assumptions people make are terrible. They really are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've had, little kids in fourth grade, wanting to know, are they going to be deported? Are the parents going to be sent back to where they were originally from? They've been living in this country for over 20 years, but there's a lot of trauma that kids are having to go through right now that we've never had to face. I mean, the only good thing about the person sitting in the White House right now is he's showing kids, and especially young men, how not to act.
Oh.
And what is disrespectful behavior. But other than that, she's actually adding to all the trauma.
Yeah. I want to do. Let me. I want to turn to some of the other folks in here, but I want to ask you to do something specific because this is what you do every day. I mean, this is your business. And the things you post, on LinkedIn is where I see them, are just wonderful, and it's a constant reminder about the importance of mental health. And I don't know if we can figure this out, but we can at least put it out there. How do we get people to understand, to get the idea that, even when they go off, the young people go after school, Lady Estelle knows, we have to talk to them about, ask for help. Ask for help. And we ask them to ask for help about everything, not just about the courses you're taking, right? And believe me, they have a hard time doing that. They wait until, the last day the paper's due, and they got, I said, why didn't you call us, like 3 months ago? But
two things. The kids have to speak up, but the other thing is there have to be adults there willing to step in and say, okay, I hear you, I got your back. Otherwise, why are they going to speak up?
That's a good question. Because they have to, they need to. You're right. I think all that's there. I just think there's this whole thing. I've heard guys say this particularly, but even young ladies in the past say, I want to do it by myself. I want to do it by myself. I want to do it by myself. I can handle it by myself. I'm the man of the house. There's this thing about, other than sports, it might be the only time when they figure they can't do it by themselves, right?
But the other part that I've seen is, when I'm asking them, why did you wait so long? And they're like, I did it. I said things before. No one paid attention, or I got in trouble for it.
Or they had a bad experience asking for help. When they asked for help, and they asked the wrong person. Yeah.
So they're like, I just figured then I might as well take care of it myself.
Mm-hmm. And know this also, Doc. I've had plenty of times where guys ask for help, or people ask for help, and the help they got was, take a hit of this, take this pill, take this, take this, take this Xanax, take this fucking, that's the help,
right?
Which obviously is not the help, and so that just takes you way down and makes you more depressed and more this and more and so on. So there's so much bad information out there about mental health that.
But it's part of what you teach on Alive and Free, that the adults need to be adults, and they need to set good role models.
And here's the other thing about this. This is not a youth problem. Taraji's a grown person, right? So this is not, we work with young people, but this is a people problem. This is, this is an adult problem. So, you think about it, the parents probably aren't any better with this than than the young people are. And so what we're up against when we're talking to them is, my parents need some help and they didn't do nothing. Mm-hmm. That's why this generational trauma is part of it, and the family secrets and all of that. And so,
if you look at, like Lady Gaga, she's very active and posting things on YouTube. She did a lecture series at Yale University about her struggles and the stuff that's going on in her family. Prince Henry, they have their nonprofit Heads Together. He put a post on YouTube about the depression he's gone through.
Yeah.
So it is a people problem.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, we're probably at the beginning of this because I don't know that there's been this much talked about in all the time that I've been doing this. Okay, we continue our conversation about the importance of mental health. We on the line with us is Dr. Michael Rubino, who works with. Can you punch him in? Lock him in. Okay. And we're gonna take a couple calls. Oh, we have one call. One, and the number once again, if you just your thoughts on this. Taraji P. Henson, hope you've been listening the whole time, and reveals that she's suffering from depression and she's trying to eradicate the stigma around mental health. She said a lot of her issues around mental health have been exacerbated by her relationship, I will call this, with social media, to the point where she just had to get off. That's something that is in the mix here. And we got some young people from Alive and Free, our folks that we see every Tuesday night, where we have these kind of discussions all the time. That's what we talk about, you know.
Doctor, there's one thing that just popped up in my head, and I want to say it before I forget.
Okay.
Parents, kids, everybody needs to email, call senators and congressmen. Because if the pre-existing condition gets knocked out, anybody who has high blood pressure, if you ever took an antidepressant, medication for ADHD, you won't be able to get private health insurance.
Wow.
Won't be able to?
Right. If
affects
there's success in knocking
physical
out
and
pre-existing
mental.
conditions, right, which is part of Obamacare, basically, the way it is now. So I don't know. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for saying that, Doc. Thank you for saying it. Let's talk to go to line 1 and talk to Devonna. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, Devonna Jones. How you doing, Doc?
How are you? Thank you. We've been talking about the importance of mental health. I hope you heard Taraji's story and some of the young people understood. What do you want to say about it?
And that's what I want to say is that, you know, it's about education. You guys promote education, but we don't know. The youth out here, we don't know. Sometimes you don't know you're sick. You don't know that you're dealing with mental health issues. You just wake up and you just feel as if the world is on your shoulders. You don't know how to get out of it.
Right.
Most of us were taught, like when we go to our parents, it's like you were taught better, you know better, or it's pray about it, or get yourself out of it, love yourself out of it. But we don't have education with the vocabulary. We don't understand what stressors are. We don't understand what triggers are. We don't understand, we don't understand what depression is. You just grow up being taught that if you go to school, if you get your education, everything's going to be okay. And if you don't do what you were taught to do and your life doesn't pan out the way it's supposed to go, it's your fault because you didn't pay attention. But instead of it being, I'm dealing with something that I'm dealing with my emotions, and I can't explain I don't know how to ask for help. I heard you say you have to ask for help or you need to ask for help, but sometimes it's the fact that you don't even know that you are dealing with something so strong and that has a hold on you.
Right.
Some people think, my mom calls it a spirit, but, in all actuality, you find out you're adopted or, you're in a bad abusive relationship or, you don't feel like you can measure up. And those are things that come from us as in our childhood. And our parents see it, but they don't know how to cope with it.
Right.
And if your parents don't know how to cope with it, they're not teaching you good coping skills.
Mm-hmm.
You raise an excellent point, huh?
So we all get lost in this cycle, and nobody's helping us out. Nobody's saying it's okay to have problems. It's okay not to know.
But nobody knows how to express it, and a lot of times, I have to start off with a feeling chart because you don't have the vocabulary. No one's talked about it. So you're right. If no one talks about it, how do you know how to express it or ask for help?
It's so powerful and so valid that young people don't know what to say. They don't have the language. They don't know that they have something going on and they need to get more information they need to know something to help them get themselves in a way so that they can be productive. They can feel good about who they are or become who they want to be. What is it that, I don't know if you ever needed that, but what can an adult say to a young person who doesn't know, needs to know, to get them to hear and listen so that we can give them that information? What if there's an adult who's got it and ready to give it and they don't know, and I've got to get through what they don't know to give them what I know they want and need?
Wow, I think
give them a hug and tell them it's okay.
Okay. Tell them it's okay.
Give them a hug and say it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. Like, just if you let somebody know, give them a genuine hug, hold them tight, and tell them it's okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
It.
Thanks, son.
If they know it's okay, then they can start the work. If they don't know it's okay.
Yeah. Thank you. We got a bunch of calls there. I love what you had to say. Thank you for calling. We're going to continue this conversation as we move forward, but thank you for your call. Thank you. Let's go to line 2 and talk to Michael.
What?
Can we go line 2? Bree, can we go line 2? Mike, you on?
Yes, I believe so. Can you hear me?
Yes, go right ahead. So your thoughts about all of this conversation about mental health.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I just wanted to say that having gone through a lot of depression and anxiety in my youth, I'm in my 30s now, and it took me a long time to really get a handle on that, And what happens is when we go through our healing process, there's layers, you know what I'm saying? It's like layers of an onion. And so you work through some and then you find some more. And one thing I wanted to put out there to all the listeners is if you're seeking out therapy, and I've gone and looked into different modalities myself, one thing that's really important is a key word is somatic, which is something that goes into the body and uses the breath to actually breathe through feelings that come up. Because what happens is we have things going on in our life that'll trigger us, but what's being triggered is something old, some sort of trauma that we carry from the past, maybe from our childhood, etc. And when you have a therapist that can guide you and help you to really breathe and actually feel those emotions, then they can start to dissolve. Because what happens is in our society, a lot of times we think other things are taboo, like sex is taboo, all these different things, but really it's emotions are taboo. You know what I'm saying? And just feeling. People, when you show up to work, whatever people are talking about, it's like, oh, how you doing? Oh, I'm feeling like awful today. And people don't want to hear that. People want to just kind of like continue on because you might remind them of the stuff that they're going through, that they're suppressing. And what's really important for us to do is actually feel the feelings, not suppress them or not push them out onto other people and try to make the world our problem. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of problems in the world, but we have to start within ourselves. So I found for me, somatic therapy is really, really important.
Wow.
And another piece I want to touch on, which may sound deep for some people, but I think there is a spiritual component to these things sometimes.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's things that you'll see go carried into families. And it's not just genetic, but also there's a spiritual energy that goes along with that. And it's important to clear that. And I know that in our indigenous traditions, whether in Native American or African traditions, there were ways to clear that energy. And even for people in the modern day, be you Christian or Muslim, seeking out counseling that can maybe tackle that from a spiritual angle. But I think the number one important one is for getting through depression, rage, anxiety is like I said, therapy, and also like importantly, somatic therapy, where you can really kind of reprocess the old stuff and then separate out the past from the present so you can move forward for the future.
Thank you, man. Wow. Thank you.
You're right. The spiritual part is definitely linked there. And a lot of times when I'm asking somebody how they feel and they say, I don't know, I say, okay, well, what's your body feeling?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah,
Thank
because
you,
the
man.
emotional body and the physical body are intertwined. Yes, most definitely. Thank you so much for taking my call, and I really appreciate you guys speaking about this. I hope that there'll be more programs out there that are doing this because people need it. You know what I'm saying?
We absolutely do. We will.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
But I'm going to get one more. See, the ultimate question I want to get to, and we want to get tonight, is how do you have healthy mental health? If that sounds like a crazy thing, but I got an idea about how to have healthy physical health, right? I do, and if we believe that mental health is important, then how do we have healthy mental health? And you during the break you're throwing out different ways, and he talked about somatic therapy,
like a mental health gym.
Well, I mean, you don't have to come up with the answer now, but I'm just saying that's what I want to try and get some thoughts on, because I mean, that's being proactive rather than reactive. And I'm going to say it's probably more important than ever, because there is look, one of the things I heard for years working with y'all was that how much negativity, there was so much, negativity has been multiplied 1,000-fold, which is my next question. How do you have a healthy relationship with social media, which will exacerbate anything that's going on in you? I mean, whatever you got going in you, meet social media and boom. And so those are the things. Let me go to this call and then we'll come back.
Yeah, because I'd like to hear from Aaron. We've heard from Erica and Cheyenne a little bit. And so he's been standing quietly. And I'd like for you to pick one of those questions that he had and be ready to respond to that question. I'm sure you
Whatever you got to say. Whatever you got to say. Yeah.
We've got.
Go ahead.
All right, well,
Is the caller? I mean,
I want you to. You want me to do the call? You want me to go to them?
I don't know. It's up to you.
But we need to make. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Aaron. You go ahead.
Which question do you want me to answer?
Either one you want to answer.
I'm gonna try to emphasize everything all together and kind of combine everything. But
Okay.
In the mic.
number one thing that everybody needs to keep in mind of is your mind controls everything. Your mind controls your body. Your mind controls your actions. And so you need to pay attention to what is going on in your mind. And I'm saying this from experience. I am currently seeing a therapist. Shout outs to Dr. Raina Remigio over at San Mateo Medical Center. I appreciate you. It got to the point where I thought I was having a heart attack. My parents, they're from another generation. They say, you don't know stress. You don't know. Exactly. That's exactly what I'm doing. You don't know stress. I used to work from 12 or 13. And then right after go to school at night and then come home, sleep for a couple hours, work early in the morning. But I'm like, Dad or Mom, you have to understand that this generation, I never had to deal with that from a young age. So I'm not used to that. And then the other thing is, they did a great job raising me. I love them and I appreciate them for that. But they have to understand that there's some areas where I can't go to them because they have no expertise in that area.
Good point.
There it is.
And I love them, but I mean, it's unfortunate. There's some things that I can't bring up to them because I don't.
They can't help you. They can't help
me.
Right,
I mean,
right.
It's sad to say.
No,
that.
and they experience it too. The difference is they repressed it.
And
they were taught to repress it.
And sometimes that's a problem because it's exactly that generational trauma where it just keeps getting handed down.
On the flip side, my mom is a psychiatrist, and so it could be overwhelming at times too. But we have a great relationship. I talk to my mom about all my problems. So you know my mom.
Lovely lady, lovely lady.
Erica, you want to add anything about how do we have a healthy mental health? How do we have healthy mental health? And I also add, how do you have a healthy relationship with social media? That's probably the bigger thing because to me, that's going to exacerbate anything you got going on inside of you. The unintentional is the thing that got me what Taraji said. You got any ideas?
I want to answer your question.
Sorry.
Okay.
All right, I want to answer your question about how do you have a healthy relationship with social media. You just take out the social media part because when you I haven't dealt with it personally, but like looking at celebrities and just like people in my generation, you just don't put your relationship on that platform because that's not anybody's business. What you do with your partner is your business. If they catch y'all together, then they catch y'all together. But other than that, that stays between y'all. But I don't know,
I agree. I just want you to say that.
I feel like mental health is very important. I feel like having a therapist is very important because personally, I learned that you can't go to your friends and family about what you want to talk about or like what you're going through because nobody's ever going to understand what you're going through because they're not you. They don't have the same mindset that you have. They might have grown up in the same environment, but they don't go through the same issues that you go through every day. So it's like, maybe you tell your friends, like, okay, me and my mom had an argument, and I don't know, she disliked something that I said, so she hit me and I left. And they're just like, why did you leave? Or like, like, that's crazy. Why didn't you leave? Why didn't you advocate for yourself? And you're just like, you don't even know my situation to the full extent. So why would you question my decisions when you've never gone through that?
Was it easy to go into therapy? Was it easy to get a therapist? And you say you have one, you say you have one. Was that easy, or did you have to go through something to get to that point? Talk to me about that. Because both of you are young. So how was that for you? Come on, talk to me.
Being honest, when I was younger, I had a therapist, but then I just stopped having one. Okay. And then in middle school, I was kind of joking around, but I was kind of serious. And I was just like, I want to kill myself. Like I said that. And the teacher just heard me. Like we were standing in line on the stairs on the way to class. And she pulled me out of line and she was just like, do you need to talk to somebody? And I was kind of like, no, because my parents always taught me, like, what happens in the house stays in the house. I never listened, though, because I know what's going on is wrong. But it's just like, I don't want to get in trouble. But I talked to my mom about it, and she was just like, I think you need this outlet. I think you need somebody to really talk to and listen to you. So I was like, all right. And ever since middle school, like, I just been talking to people. But I don't like jumping from therapist to therapist because that just doesn't make me feel comfortable. Like, why does everybody need to know my story, you know? Like, if I wanted to share it, I would, I don't know, go on social media and share it, write a book about it, or make a song or something.
Okay. No, it takes time to build up trust and faith in somebody. So if you're jumping from therapist to therapist, your heart's more hard because you got to start over again. And after a while, it's like, I don't want to keep telling my story.
Yeah. You want to say, Aaron, how you found yours?
So the way that I ended up finding my therapist, they say, at least in my family, we say out of every tragedy, you have to make a blessing. And in my case, it reached a point where it started, I guess I thought it was affecting my heart. I thought I was having a heart attack. I went to the clinic and I was like, I'm having a heart attack. I'm only 27. What is going on? And that's when the nurse was like, oh my God, honey, take it easy. Take a deep breath. I'm going to bring you some water. And she's like, you're having a panic attack. Your anxiety is probably like way over the top. Imagine a glass of water and it's spilling right now. And I was like, what do I do? Because I've never dealt with this before. And I thought on the way over, on the drive over, I'm like, I'm going to have a heart attack. I'm going to crash and I'm probably going to kill myself and someone. And what's going on? And so she was like, no, you're having a like panic attack, anxiety attack. You need to talk to someone about these things. And that's how I met my therapist. And through that, little by little, I've been talking about things that I haven't even told my parents. Cause it's like, how am I supposed to tell them this, you know? And it's, I mean, it brings up pain, but at the same time, holding on to that is dangerous. It's poisonous. It kills you from the inside. It destroys your mind, and it halts all the growth that you're doing.
You know, and I think there are words that we need to eliminate from our vocabulary, and I know you will not hear these words at Alive and Free because we talked about this. The word shame, let
we need to
that
get rid of that.
Okay,
We really do.
Blame, let it go. Fault, all those words that have been associated with especially with mental health, right?
Yeah.
With us, period.
Another one is I should have, all of those things that put us on the defensive. And they're corrosive words, that's what they are.
Yeah.
And they make there's something wrong, and there's nothing wrong. Even the word wrong, right? There are issues that have to be dealt with. Let's take the word, things that have to be dealt with. And I think when people like Taraji and yourself come on and talk about this, to me, it's courage. It's courageous. This is courageous to me as Dr. King standing in the line. This may sound crazy to people, you know, going against the grain, daring to be different, standing up and believing in yourself is all part of it. And I just think we're just scratching the surface of this. And
one thing that teenagers also have to face with therapy is a lot of therapists are reluctant to take on teenagers.